Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's video because I'm going to be updating you on the makeup products that I told you guys at the beginning of this year we're going to self-destruct if I didn't use them up by the end of this year. Just meaning that if I don't either complete these products or use them in the like gold number that I've given to myself, then I have to declutter these products. So kind of like a project pan, but also not. I just thought this was a fun take on a book video that I saw. Emily from McKinnis Mama is her book channel. She's also Emily and Max for her main makeup channel. But she did a video last year about books that would self-destruct if she didn't read them. And so I kind of wanted to bring that concept to my makeup collection. I have 14 products that I told you guys were gonna self-destruct. We have saved 2, or I've used up 1, and then I hit a goal on another, but we still have 12 products that they might be self-destructing at the end of this year still. So if you're interested in my updates, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project pinning content, palette themed content, or just chit-chatting about makeup, I'd love if you'd consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. Okay, I feel like I don't necessarily need more gloss, but I also just want to add a little bit more gloss. I feel like I should take this gloss with me to work today because the Tower 28 glosses I can go through so quickly. And I'd like to have like 1 or 2 more gloss empties before I update my makeup inventory for the mid-year mark. Should we start with the 2 products that I've actually hit my goal on? We can do that. Okay, so the first one was my RCMA translucent powder. I think that I bought the 2-pack maybe back in like 2016, 2015-ish time. Like it definitely could have been 2015. So my powder was about 10 years old, and I had put it in this Laura Mercier translucent powder container just because it's a much easier container to get the powder out of. And I had already finished up one of the RCMA powders in the duo pack, and that took me forever. And so I just wanted to be done with the RCMA translucent powder. I don't really love a loose powder anymore, which is crazy to say because I used to much prefer a loose to a pressed powder. But now the only loose powder I can think of that I would want to use every single day would be the Givenchy Prism Libre powder. Other than that, I love a pressed powder. So I really just honed in on this product, told myself I had to use it. I used it to set all over my face, and I just ground down and finished this powder up. So I'm so excited that the RCMA powder is no longer in my life. And then the other goal that I hit, I included my Joseph Colors Baked Brown eyeshadow palette in this. This is one of the oldest eyeshadow palettes in my collection. And I had already had 3 pans in this palette when I like shared this at the beginning of the year. This is a palette that I used to absolutely love. It probably was one of my most used eyeshadow palettes when I first brought this into my collection, but this just ended up kind of sitting around throughout the years after I started to grow my eyeshadow palette collection. So I told myself that if I was not able to I had 2 options. I could either use this shade up in full, which is what I obviously did, or I told myself that I could try and hit a pan on every single shade, and that would also count as this palette technically being saved. And I used this palette so much the first few months of the year. I don't have my exact count of how many uses this eyeshadow palette got, but I'm thinking it's well into the 30s. And I'm just so excited to have shown this palette some more love. I really do love this eyeshadow palette. I have definitely been opting for a more, as I have this look on, I'm like not necessarily an example today, but something a little bit more simple. Definitely in April and like the beginning of May, I really was just doing like 1 or 2 shadows in the crease, and this really just works so well for that. This is a really great travel eyeshadow palette too, and I'm happy to have saved this so that this still can hold a place in my collection. And then speaking of the Joseph Colors 5 pans, I also included the Sassy Sienas. This is one that I really, again, enjoyed when I first brought this into my collection, but I really have not used it much since. This one does not have any pans in it, and I told myself I need to reach for this 20 times in order to save this. I have reached for this, I think once. Is that right? Yes, 1 out of those 20 uses. Now I will say this is definitely more of a summer-esque palette. I think my challenge is going to be that I love to test and try new eyeshadow palettes, and I love to no pan left behind my palettes, and I'm trying to get through as many as I can in my collection. So I feel like every day I'm trying to like use a new palette, or I'm using a palette maybe a couple days in a row so that I can complete it. But it's really hard to kind of like pull my attention away from wanting to no pan left behind everything. But I'm gonna just hone in on this eyeshadow palette. I'll no pan left behind it, and then maybe I can find ways to just include 1 or 2 shades, you know, for 20 days. I feel like this is a shade that I could just do 1 shade in the crease and it would be really, really beautiful for the summer, just a warm brown. So I'm confident I can get through this. I think if we get to the end of April or August and this isn't done, I would be a little bit more concerned, but this is definitely something I feel more inclined to reach for in the summertime. So I'm not too worried about this one yet. And then the other eyeshadow palette that I included is the Natasha Denona Lila palette. And this, I believe I purchased in 2017. This was the first ever Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette I ever purchased. So it really does hold this nostalgic place near and dear to my heart. And even when I declutter this eyeshadow palette, I will still keep this in my collection. I'll probably just stop using it. I have found that I am struggling. The last couple of years I've struggled to motivate myself to reach for this eyeshadow palette. So I did give myself a 20 use goal with this one as well. And I have not reached for this one yet at all. Now this is something, I was gonna say, that feels more like fall, winter, but like it's made it through a winter with me and I didn't reach for it at all. I swear I've reached for this like 1 or 2 times. I really swear I have. I guess I need to go back and look at all of my palette uses this year, but I definitely have only used it like max 2 times. So I have at least 18 uses left to go with this. I wanted to no pan left behind this last year, but just wasn't feeling inspired by this palette and actually did not no pan left behind this last year. So I really do need to roll this in so that I can no pan left behind it, but I think I'll wait until the fall time to do so. I do really enjoy some of the like metallic shades in here. Like I really love this shade. This will be beautiful to pull out this summer. I really should do that. This is one of my favorite shades in the entire palette, and then I also love the like red green shade here. I do really like this purple too. Like there's shades in here I really do like. I think it's just overall the color story as a whole. Like I wish this row was like, I don't love that row, and I wish I had like 1 or 2 more lighter mattes. I don't know. Like I could have done without like maybe like one of these 2 shades for like a different like lighter matte, but those are just my qualms with the palette. This is not yet saved from being decluttered, but again, if this does get decluttered, I'll still have it in my collection. I just won't use it anymore. I did include 1 eyeshadow, like 1 potted shadow, and I included the Tarte Chrome Paint Pot in the shade Top Yacht. I told myself I needed to use this at least 10 times, and I've only used this once. It is a really, really beautiful metallic potted shadow. It's again very, very old in my collection and just not the type of product that I reach for that frequently. Although I will say I think I could get a lot of use out of this summer, especially I'm just thinking through like days that I'll reach into, even like my Rowan quad, like potentially I could reach into this for just 1 single shadow all over the crease or all over the lid. It is just, it's really metallic, it's really beautiful. It is this really beautiful like champagne shade. It's just so hard to get myself to feel encouraged to reach for a potted shadow, so that's why I'm struggling with this. 9 uses. This is another one I feel like if I don't have this complete by the end of August, I won't feel too confident in my ability to complete this. And I also included this in makeup products that are currently on the chopping block for me, so we'll see what happens with that one. I do really quick, I have a few lip products I want to mention. One of them I believe is in my car, although I hope it's not lost. It is my Fenty Beauty Tang Slip Shine lipstick. I have been using that every time I've gone to Topgolf, and I think it's in my car or it's somewhere floating around. I have been using that lipstick. I told myself if that is not complete by the end of the year, I just need to declutter it because it's getting so old in my collection. It is this really beautiful kind of sheer orange lipstick, and it's beautiful, but I just sometimes struggle to reach for something other than a nude on the lip, and I haven't made it enough of a priority or a focus, even though it's been in projects throughout the last couple of years. It is currently going in a project now, and I have been loving pairing it with a neutral look and wearing it to Topgolf. So hopefully I find that and it's not truly lost. But two other lip products. I have this one from Bite Beauty, speaking of like a bold kind of orangish shade. This is Pickled Ginger. This is extremely old in my collection, and this is another one, no matter what happens by the end of the year, I think this one just truly does need to be tossed. I think I got this in maybe like 2017. And even though it's like Bite Beauty and food grade, it's still like there's no weird growths happening. It doesn't smell like, it smells like literally nothing. So I'm hoping to maybe get like 10 uses out of this summer. It's a really fun shade, but obviously just not something I'm wearing on a day-to-day basis. And at the end of the year though, it's like, if it doesn't smell bad and it's not like gone off, I would like to still keep it. We'll assess how many times I use it. This is another one I need to get my uses in the summer, or like I probably won't get any uses at all. Then I have this liquid lipstick from Dose of Colors. This is in the shade Mondaze. I have used this about 4 or 5 times. I have 4 tracked uses, but I swear I like forgot to track a use or 2. This is a really beautiful, kind of like bold, grungy, reddish lip, but also like a neutral, just like a darker neutral red. I've worn this to work a couple of times and I actually really enjoyed how this looked. Definitely something I can see myself reaching for more in the colder months or fall months. So maybe this isn't one that like I need to get all my uses out in the summer. I should focus on other things and then I can refocus on this in the fall. I told myself no matter what, this needs to be decluttered at the end of the year, because again, this is an older liquid lipstick in my collection, but again, it doesn't smell bad. And I do love the Dose of Colors liquid lipstick formula. This is a really beautiful shade. So maybe we'll kind of assess and see how it smells at the end of the year, how many times I've used it. But as of right now, I've used it 4 or 5 times, and this one might be getting tossed in the trash at the end of the year. All right, next up I have my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, and I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but I have really, really heavy windowing on this one. I believe I purchased this in 2019. I was in Vegas when I purchased this. I remember I like hit 5,000 YouTube subscribers that day. It was like either a day or 2 before my birthday that year, and I ended up purchasing this. So this is very fond memories for me. My cap is broke, all of my lettering has worn off. Like, this is a very old product. It's really beautiful, but I do have other products similar to this in my collection, and I want to finish this before I use those other products. So my goal really is just to finish this. I've been using this a ton this year. I actually did end up taking the stopper out of this. It is kind of very messy when I use it, but that's okay. I used it today. I mixed it with my foundation, and I am super confident this will be an empty by the end of the year. I can always use this as a body highlight too, or like an all over body glow. So I'm excited that I've been focused on this. I swear I think I had marked this like up here. Like, I've used quite a bit of this year, and this one I think will be a success in completing. All right, I have my Marc Jacobs Tantastic bronzer. I had a really large pan going in this at the beginning of the year, and I didn't necessarily say this had to be an empty by the end of the year, but I want like a much expanded pan. I don't think I've reached for this at all this year. I've kind of focused my attention on other bronzers. I also feel like recently I have brought in quite a few bronzers into my collection. I feel like for a couple of years I wasn't as bronzer heavy in terms of like my bronzer buys as I had been in the past, and then this year I was really excited to buy some bronzers again, kind of in like the April-May time frame, which is typically when I get most excited to buy bronzers. So I just need to roll this back in, get some use out of this. This is a shade I definitely prefer more like fall time. It's not necessarily my perfect summer shade. I like something with just a little bit more warmth in the summer, but I'm confident I can expand the pan enough to feel like I use this enough to keep it. I don't think it's possible for me to empty this out this year and still feel like I'm cycling through my bronzer collection. So I think we'll end up saving this one. I wanted to expand the pan, so that's where we're at with that. Then I have my Makeup Forever HD highlighter. This is, I believe, in the shade 1. It's this really beautiful icy pink highlight, and I told myself I wanted to use this 50 times this year. So far I've used it 12 times, and I'm really happy with the 12 uses that I have got. I know I still have a long ways to go with this one in order to save it. but I think we can do it. I love a pink highlighter. This is really beautiful. It's definitely a little bit icier than I tend to prefer, but again, kind of fall winter time, I think I can bust this back out and get the additional 38 uses I need. I'd like to maybe use it 5 times each month of the summer, which would be 15 uses. So then by the time we get to the fall, I'm down to like 18 uses left ish. I don't think the math is right there at all. But anyway, I'm confident I can save this one. We still got a long ways to go, but even just like looking at like the wear on the center of this just really makes me happy. So, and I also told myself if I hit pan before 50 uses, this one would also be saved, but I don't think that is gonna happen. All right, then I have this blush right here. This is the Becca Flowerchild blush, and I don't really know if I gave myself a use goal with this one or not, but I set a use goal with myself today on this because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna hit pan on this. So I gave myself a 20 use goal with this one. I actually do have this on as my blush today. This is a really beautiful blush, and I have 2 other Becca blushes in my collection. I wish that Becca blushes were still a thing. Like Becca's cheek products, their blushes and their highlights were just so top notch, and I know you can still get their highlights through Smashbox, but like I wish that they still had blushes because their blushes have this really beautiful sheen to them, and that is what I really prefer in a blush. And I just feel like, especially right now, their blush formula would just be so popular. So I've used this 2 times so far this year, 18 more uses to go. I think I could fly through those this summer, and it's one of my oldest blushes in my collection, but I still love it every single time I use it, so I don't want to declutter it. It's just something that like I had maybe reached for a handful of times every year, and I wanted to really focus on getting like a decent, like 20 uses is like a decent amount of uses considering how large my blush collection is. So I wanted to get some decent use this year in order to save the blush. All right, 2 products left. They're both face palettes. So I have the Laura Geller Baked Gelato Swirl palette, and my computer has shut down. I can't remember if I gave myself a 20 or a 30 use goal with this, but I have reached for this one a total of 4 times so far this year. This is a really beautiful blush or a highlight palette. And I told myself I think wanted to use it 20 or 30 times. I'll have to revisit my notes, and everything will be listed in my description box, including the number of uses that I have total. But I think I said either 20 to 30 uses or I could hit a pan. I feel like I'm so close to pan in the shade Peach Glow, which is my favorite shade in this palette. This is one I really do want to save. It's just like such an old face palette in my collection, and I feel like it's been severely neglected throughout the year. So I'm like, girl, we gotta use this or we gotta like get rid of it. So I'm confident I can get enough use out of this to save this one, especially just considering like we could do Gilded Honey like on the body some this year to get some use out of it. And I really do love Pink Glow, especially for the summertime. I feel like it's a really beautiful, more warm pink rather than like sometimes pink highlights can just tend to lean so icy. This one just isn't as icy, so I'm gonna make sure we get the uses on that. And then last but not least, I have my Anastasia Aurora Glow Kit, and I told myself I needed to use this one 30 times because I knew like the way that I would get use out of these would be as inner corner highlights. Potentially like a highlight here and there. Like I like to use Lila on my face from time to time. I've used this 3 out of those 30 uses. I've kind of neglected this one, and I do really need to get back to this. I'm confident I can save this one. This was like a good moment pulling these products out to kind of be like, okay, girl, we said these products were gonna self-destruct. First half of the year, like we didn't do that great. So like let's refocus, especially on some of these products that I really feel like I can get great use out of in the summer. And if I don't, they're not gonna get the use in the winter. So I feel like I just need to like sit this on my desk and just use it every single day for my inner corner highlight, especially because I recently hit pan on another inner corner highlight that I was focused on, and it gives just a good variety of options. We've got green, blue, purple, icy like whitish purple, and then I also like Eclipse as a highlight as well. So I think we can save this one. I think the ones I'm most worried about would be like Pickled Ginger would be a concern, Tarte, Top Yacht, kind of this one, Dose of Colors Mondaze, just because it's not something I reach for on an everyday basis. But that is where we sit with all of the makeup products that could potentially self-destruct. I don't know if are these makeup products sitting here like shaking in their boots, like are they concerned? Some of them should be. But that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch and for supporting me and my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.